What's up, everybody? Real with Omar. I'm here with special guest Jonathan Rios. He does interior designs. He does construction. He does a lot of things. He works on large markets. But right now, we're going to talk about MMA because we were talking about it before, so we're going to start talking about it now. John, welcome to the show.
What's up, Omar? Thank you for having me, man.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
We're going to get to everything you do, but first, I want to talk about MMA because we were talking about it already.
Yeah.
So, you competed MMA. You
I've
compete
competed
now?
in
Actively?
Jiu-jitsu. No,
Jiu-jitsu, okay.
Jiu-jitsu, yes.
Okay.
I competed as
How
a white belt.
How many years have you been doing that?
I've been doing Jiu-jitsu for almost 3 years now.
Okay. Why'd you start it?
I've always done martial arts throughout my life. I've done, since I was a kid, I did Taekwondo, karate, then I did Muay Thai. And it's always been something that...
A discipline.
A discipline for me.
Right.
I stopped doing it for many years.
Why?
Man, I hit the partying phase, man.
Okay.
I started going out.
Okay.
Lacked the discipline for a few years. Decided to enjoy my early 20s.
Like most of us, right?
Yeah,
Right.
go out.
Pre-marriage,
Pre-marriage,
the single life.
Pre-kids.
Yeah, pre-kids.
And so I took advantage of that time. But then after that, I realized that martial arts was something that I was missing. So I got back into it.
Well, let me ask you that, because really the underlying concept to me is discipline. Yeah. When is it that you see, what is it that you saw in your life that you're like, yo, I think I gotta get back to like my grounding or my foundation, right? Like something that gives me structure. Because I think a lot of people, they need that, right?
We need that.
So when did you figure out, you're like, yo, this is cool, but I'm kind of like, you know, I'm going everywhere right now. I'm trying to refocus my energy and try to move forward again.
I've always been ambitious. Always, at a young age, I always thought about how I would be as in my future, what type of business I would have, what type of things I'd be doing. I always thought about that a lot. But as in my teenage years, in my early 20s, I was going down not the best path. And for a few years, I was going out. I was drinking. I wasn't doing the things that I felt I should have been doing. Mm-hmm. So I realized one day that I needed to. And also personal things, right? The personal wars we go through, the battles we go through. I had my daughter, and then I separated from the mother of my daughter. So that was not being with my daughter was a difficult time for me. So having all of those battles and many more, I realized that I needed to...
All those ingredients, right?
All those ingredients.
Yeah, they were creating something that you didn't like.
All the pain in life led me to kind of say, look, we need to get back on track, and we need to focus on building this business. I had...
you were in the interior design? You were already in construction?
Okay. Yeah. I started this business when I was 20 years old.
Wow.
In 2009. And I took a risk on it. I said, let me go ahead and jump and let's start this construction business. I had worked with my father.
So I was going to ask you, are your parents, like, were they entrepreneurs or they worked for a company?
Yeah, you know what? They both are entrepreneurs.
Okay.
My father came to this country, same as my mother did, from Colombia at a young age, and they both took their own paths. My father decided to be a painting contractor.
Okay.
So he went down that path, and when I was a young kid, 12, 13, I would work with him on the weekends, summertime, and that's what kind of sparked my love for what I do.
Right. Well, you were asking to go with him, or he was saying, come on?
No, he would tell me to, listen, man, just lace up and let's get to it.
Right.
And I'd work on the weekends over the summers, and I did that for most of my teenage life. I was working with him, and I decided to take the leap when I turned 20.
How about your mom? What did she do?
My mother is a CPA.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So she is, I always joke with her. I tell her that she's my CFO. But she laughs and she says, you don't pay me enough to be a CFO. But she is, she handles the finances of the company. Mm-hmm. And she has been an asset for everything that I've done. Everything, our progression has been because of her help. So I have my secret weapon there.
Your CPA mom.
Yeah, the
That's
CPA
dope.
mom.
That's dope, man. So, all right, so you started when you were 20.
Yep.
Now, let me ask you, I've started businesses when I was young, too, right? So my family was very different, very blue-collar, came to Puerto Rico, no English. So their number one reaction was no. No, work for the city, like...
Safety.
Yeah, safety, right. So when you told your parents, yo, I think I want to do this, what was the reaction? I mean, they were already in the life, so I figure you might have a different answer.
But my mother took years before she took the entrepreneurial jump. Right. My father as well. They were here working first.
For other companies,
right?
To establish themselves.
my mother also was be safe, work for the city. She was like, get a job with the city.
That was like the program.
That's the program.
Yeah, go to college, do this, do that, and you'll be better or safe, like we would say.
The Latino mindset, right? It's like work hard, work hard,
keep your head down, keep quiet.
That's right.
Right? You know, and
trouble,
everything I didn't do is everything she told me to do. She's like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. Then I went to school and I kind of saw like how the other half lived, and what I mean by that is like the opportunities, right? The opportunity if you get on your grind and you're able to capitalize on opportunities, there's big opportunities. But going back to them, like they came in not speaking the language, so their opportunities or their opportunities were very limited, right? Like you have 1, 2, or 3. This is what you can do, right? Luckily with us, we speak the language, or we have some education. We're able to see like concepts that they don't see. Like going back to being a CPA, like she now understands tax code, stuff like that. Shit that we didn't like. They didn't know, right? They're like, what? You got to pay taxes on this, or
nobody wanted to pay
or you could write off, or you
Yeah.
could like all those little things. Now she's understanding the matrix of the way the tax code, because the tax code works for business owners in America. So I just want to say that so people understand. Like I'm not just saying it because I'm bored. Think about your W-2 earner, and I'm not shitting on that because everything works for different people, right? Some people just there's days that being an entrepreneur is heavy. It weighs on you. You're like,
big time.
I'm sick, but you can't be sick.
Can't,
right? See, that because like I've had a conversation with my friend the other day. He's like, yo, well, when you're at the head of the table, you don't have sick days. You don't have this. Even if you're sick, you close the deals. I remember one day I had to close a deal. I had vertigo. You know what vertigo is?
Yeah, you don't feel.
So I know my eyes are going this way,
yeah.
so I had to look at you there because my eyes just went that way. I didn't understand, but I couldn't be sick. I had to close the deal.
Tough,
this was early in my career, you know, and it was like, I don't know, it was a $15,000 fee, so it was a lot of money for me. And I'm like, yo, I gotta make this happen. But later on, I end up in the hospital. They're like, yo, you have vertigo. And I didn't know what that was. But just to give you an example of how dedicated you have to be as an entrepreneur, because some people, they feel it's easy. Like you look like, all right, so now you're on social media. I'm gonna go into a few things. You're doing your contracting now is based. What's your regular clientele now? It's more, I believe it's hotels now, like larger, right?
Commercial
contracting
or is the majority of our clientele now. We still have residential.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, and we're also seeking public work. So that's something,
municipality work, like city, school,
state.
right?
So that's something that we've already been working on this entire year, and we're gonna start in 2025.
Okay.
So public work, commercial, and residential.
All right. So let me break that down for some people that don't understand, because everybody wants to run to the end, right? Everybody wants to go to the end of the movie.
Wants the glory, right?
Yeah, everybody wants to go to the end of the movie. They don't want to go to the middle. Yeah. So to get public work, to get high-end commercial work, and you can clear these up for me as I say them. Sometimes they pay net 60, net 90, net 120, right? So I'll explain what that means, guys. Just so the people that might not know, because I had a call recently. My little cousin, I'm not gonna say his name, he goes, oh, I'm sick of working for other people. I wanna get into this type of work. So I had, he's like, I was like, okay, so how can I help you? Because I didn't understand. So he was like, well, I want you to tell me, do I incorporate? Do I do this? So I started explaining things like that. I said, all right, you're doing small jobs now, which is cool. You're doing it on the side, on the weekends, you get paid. I was like, as you get into bigger things, you're gonna have to get licensed and insured. That's one part. It's an expense, it costs money. And then the second part will be that you'll be expected to lay out money. So understand that you'll get bigger money, but there's a delay in your gratification. I was breaking it down like that. I was like, understand, you're not getting paid. Like, you finish your job on Sunday, you get paid Sunday? No. You pay great. They're going to inspect it probably, and maybe in 2 months you get your money.
Exactly.
Are you ready for that jump, bro? I was telling him, like, are you ready to not eat, or do you have enough saved that you can not get a check for 2 months?
100%.
So he was like, no. I was like, all right, so now you got to think about that. Like, I told him, I was like, I'm not shitting on your idea. I'm just saying, this is what your idea really is. And when people don't understand, like, I want the big government contracts. Well, are you licensed and bonded?
Yep.
Do you have audited financials?
All of them.
All the things that they're going to want to verify. Why? Because these guys are going to give you contracts that are worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. And once they start rolling with somebody and you do good work, they kind of stay rolling with you. But what they want to make sure you can produce what you say you can produce, right? Because they can't look crazy either, because at the end of the day in the city, they all work for somebody else. Yep. And you don't want to be the guy, that makes them look bad. Because everybody's trying to protect their neck.
Everybody.
Right? Exactly. So you start in the resi world. right? So how did you like, did you know you wanted to go commercial? Did you always have the vision? Or did somebody put you on, yo, this is the type of work that you can get?
So yeah, I started in the residential world, and my father, when he had his business, he still has his own business to this day. He had a painting contract with the hotel.
Okay.
So when I was working for him, I did a lot of work for the hotel, and I began to study how the nature of the business was, the hospitality industry. So I saw that yes, the money was they take very long to pay. Some
Right.
hotels longer than others, over 100 days sometimes,
Right.
depending on the contract. But there was a huge upside, right? We had the potential to do many projects at once. Let's say if we're doing a hotel, we're doing 100 rooms, for example. But we're renovating the rooms, so it's much bigger than the residential
Yeah.
aspect.
The payoff is bigger as long as you
Payoff
can
is bigger.
carry it for a
Yeah,
while,
the
right?
risk is bigger as
Right.
well, but it's something that I started in that, and I started making my own clientele as well with the hospitality industry and gaining experience through years of working with them and understanding what it is that they were seeking. And that's why we kind of we created the company. It's a remodeling company where we do marble restoration, interior renovations, preventive maintenance, which is a very important feature for hotels.
Well, explain what that is. I don't know what that is.
Preventive maintenance is something that the hotels do yearly. Let's say in the slow season, January through March, they like to take that time to get their in-house staff and also outside staff or subcontractors to come in and do maintenance on, let's say, their PTAC units, their wall covering, the painting, any type of carpentry that needs to be done, any type of updating that they could get done within those months. They seek to have people do, and that's part of the preventive maintenance. The other part is maintaining the property for the remainder of the year, and that is by having, let's say, a handyman on site or painters that can constantly, a guest checks out, they touch up the rooms,
Right.
they make sure the wallpaper's looking good, the paint is looking fresh, the rooms look new, and that's what we specialize in as well.
What about the so which hotels do you do more work with? You don't have to name drop them, but like, is it boutique hotels? Like, I stood at this place in Brooklyn. Forgot the name of it. It was like it was nice. It was like, but it wasn't like a Hilton. It was like a niche, restaurant downstairs and a bathhouse around the block.
Something
Williamsburg.
individual,
Stuff like that. Are those like your type of clients, or is it?
We do like the major chains,
Yeah.
but we also are targeting boutique hotels as well.
Who do you feel is more, like, who's gaining more market share right now?
I think the bigger hotels.
Bigger
right?
hotels?
The bigger hotels, the chains that have, it doesn't have to be a Hilton. It could be a company that owns several hotels.
Okay.
That where they see a lot of traffic, those are the ones that tend to invest in making sure that the rooms look good. Because we're now in the world of the reviews, right?
Yeah,
so people see
Google reviews, baby.
TripAdvisor, they go into a room.
They'll kill you or they'll make you live. Yeah, either
so
way.
a lot of owners now are kind of becoming receptive to that, and they're saying, you know what, we're getting a lot of complaints because the paint looks bad or the wallpaper looks bad, the bathroom tiles are outdated. Let's get somebody in here. Let's invest, and let's get a return on that investment by selling the rooms at a higher price.
Right.
So we've got a specialty in that, and we offer that to the hotels.
Do you do design work?
We don't do design,
Okay.
but we can consult.
Right.
But we don't do the design portion.
You just
We
execute
do the
it.
remodeling,
Right.
we execute. Yeah.
What is what do you see right now as, and that is just for personal fucking observation, what's a new thing that hotels are putting into their rooms that maybe weren't around 5-6 years ago?
I think they're making it more travel friendly. Like, they understand that people want connection, right? After the pandemic,
Right.
a lot of people, we're doing Zoom calls now. We don't have this connection anymore. They wanna create, let's say, the suites. They wanna add sofas. They wanna add like wet bars to the rooms.
Okay.
Where people can kind of invite each other, right? Let's say a family's in the hotel,
make more gathering.
or let's do a gathering here. It's not just one or two people. We have several people.
Right.
Make the lobbies as well more inviting to sit down, do your work.
Keep them in the building.
Yeah, they have like the business and pleasure. What do they call it? The pleasure, I think is
I don't know.
They're mixing both now.
The pleasure?
Yeah, the pleasure. So I think they're making it they make that trend. They're starting to renovate around that.
Okay. What was the first job that you feel that kind of changed things for you in terms of, like, there's always that, Like, if you ask me what was the deal that changed your, like, I remember in the early in my career, like, I was like, you know, I'm going back a long time. I'm going back to like '08. I was like, I want to do $1 million loan. Like, I was like, you know, like, I was like, yo, I got to do it. I do it. And then
the number.
Yeah, then you do it, and you're like, oh, okay, so it's the same amount of work, but the zeros are bigger.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, what was your first job? You don't have to name the actual job, but like, what was the first part? In your, there's always that milestone in our careers, right? We have so many different milestones. Like, what was the first job you're like, oh shit, right? You get your check, you're like, oh shit, so yeah, this is my plan. And look, it worked. And look, I have a nice check at the end of the day after everything. What was the when did that happen for you? And you know, what was that? Because there's a feeling involved. Yeah. What was your feeling?
I think when we did a hotel renovation, that was the biggest one I had done to that point. This was also, I think this was in 2014, the biggest one I had done to that date. And it was a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So
can you? I'm not asking, but 6 figures, you know, high 6 figures, like
seven figures.
Seven figures.
So,
all right.
So it was in
millions, guys, millions.
Yeah. So it was it was, but obviously the millions. But people think we pocket the millions, right? But obviously I had a huge amount. But that also was a big learning experience for me when it came to payroll.
Right.
The type of
carrying
insurance,
costs,
the carrying costs. I didn't understand that too well at that time, and I paid for that.
Yeah.
Literally.
But those bumps you always remember.
Yeah. But it was a project where I said there's so much potential here.
Right.
Where I can use this as a trampoline to
so doing the job by itself, just completing the job, even if you made no money, was an opportunity itself, because now you can showcase it. Be like, look, I did that.
It was like we did this, and in this trade, in this construction industry, when you're doing bigger projects, they always require that you have done
referrals.
The referrals, and that the referrals be at a certain amount.
Ah, okay.
So they want.
So you gotta be vetted.
Yes,
you gotta be vetted.
They want to make sure that, let's say if you're aiming for a big project, they want to make sure that you can handle it.
Right.
They'll check your financials, but not only that, they want to see, was it $1 million, $2 million, $3 million?
You've done similar projects,
$4 million
of that scale.
Can you do it? Or they can, and they have the financial structure
to back it up,
to do it. So that was an eye opener. Mm-hmm. But it also, at that time, I didn't have the business structured how I have it now.
Okay.
So I had to learn many years. It's like that day I was like, there's no way I'm going back down.
Right.
But after that year, the next year I didn't do too well.
Well, like I think Tony Robbins said it the other day, and it really struck.
That's the man right
It really struck with me. He goes, profit and cash are two separate concepts. Right? On paper, you could be like, I had a monster year, but you reinvest, you expense, and then you're like, oh shit, I'm down. I have no cash. And that's a killer, right? But people have to understand that. Like that becomes a thing. I'm doing 7 figures. Well, what's your margin, right? Not asking you, but people in business understand those statements, right? People from the outside in, like, yo, you got a $20 million contract, like you should have killed it. Like, where's the Bentley? Like, my man.
Was a Rolls Royce.
That's not the way it works right now, you know. But that you know, it's important for me to have these conversations with other business owners, brown and black, because I feel like we don't have enough people looking like us, talking about this. Yeah. Like the not fun part. Like everybody wants to get the $6,000 truck so they can write it off on their LLC and sell dogs. Like, you know, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like
yes,
they just going that way. Like I'm like, no, it doesn't work that way all the time. You know, you can do whatever. You could fucking sell sneakers. If you do it the right way, you can make a lot of money. Yeah. You could do it the wrong way and look like you're making money, but at the end of the day, when it all settles, you're losing money. So I just want people to understand that, because that year the next year, because you had leveled up. Yep. So now your expenses are higher and they can't go back down. Yeah. Now, if you're not generating, so it's eating into your money, but you're waiting to get that next big project.
No, you level up, and also I think it's important that you're saying that for people to understand. In a business, the business could be bringing in $5 million in revenue, right? Mm-hmm. But if the basis isn't there, right at the end, what is the equity of the business? If you're breaking even, if you didn't make a profit, the business isn't healthy, and it tends to happen a lot. Mm-hmm. So what changed everything for me was when I started looking. I read this book. It was called I think The Part-Time CFO. I think was the name of the book.
The Part-Time CFO. Okay.
I read it, and it opened my eyes. That was an eye opener for me, because in the book he was talking about businesses can make millions. Mm-hmm. You can be broke.
Yeah. What are you keeping? Right. What are you keeping? What are you retaining?
What are you keeping? Yeah. What is the health of the business? And I realized when I read that book, I didn't know the numbers in my business. And I think
numbers are super important. Man,
bro. I think that was a game changer for me.
Yeah. And you know some people get like, I have this conversation a lot with family lately, for whatever reason. And I'm like, when you talk about numbers, it's not a personal attack. Like, I'm like, what's your budget? What do you mean? I'm like, well, what do you make? What are you spending?
What are you willing
Where's
to
your money
spend?
going? No, where's your money? No, like, I'm not like, because they'll be like, oh, I'm always, like,
Always broke,
as
yeah.
that, you know, I don't want to say it like that. I'll say it this way. When you're at the head of your table, you get a lot of the calls. And you don't want to be an asshole. But one thing I've learned, look, I buried both my parents. Meaning I had to pay to bury them. Like, let me be clear, guys. Let me be clear. And I don't want to leave that for my kids, right? So I have life insurance policies. Like, I have a wife, but I'm the highest earner in my family. So I know, God forbid, I go, like, it's not rolling this way. So I have to leave things in order. Okay. Going back to conversations I have with family members, they're like, yo, you think you can let me this? I'm like, yo, I can or I can't. It depends on the month, right? If it's good or bad. But, well, what's going on? And, they like almost don't. You have the money for the sneakers, but you don't have the money for the rent. I was like, you gotta change that guy. Like,
pick and choose.
Yeah, I said you gotta be a fucking adult. You know what I'm saying? Like, we not little kids no more. And I've had this conversation more and more lately. I'm like, yo, man, I'm like, you do the fun stuff when there's extra. You do, like I have 3 sons. There's a time to be serious. There's a time, I love to hang out. I love to joke. I'm cool with that. But there's a time when you got to buckle up and be serious. And, like, if you're not in that place financial, then you got to buckle up. Yo, man, I'm not going out. Or I'm not going to the movies. Or I'm not doing it. It got to be okay. Yeah. But going back, and we're going to get to the next topic of social media in a minute. Going back to people so busy looking at other people, like, I have a friend that, he posts different things, and I love it. He's a young kid. And I said, look, man, that's fun. I was like, but that shouldn't be your definition. Like, just because you're doing that doesn't mean you made it. Like, how do you feel inside? Like, what do you go? Like, without ambition and purpose, we tend to drift. And going back to what you said earlier in the 20s, in your 20s, you just fucking living. You don't know what the fuck's going on. Like, you think, every night is the night, right?
I can't miss. It's the last party.
Yeah.
When they throw those flyers out, like, you can't miss this
I gotta be at that party.
It's like, if I'm not there, I'm done.
I remember in college, man, I structured my college studies Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so I could hang out Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Like, come on, man.
Me
Like,
too, bro.
Now I think about it this way. I'm like, damn. So I was structuring my education around my hangout, which is, 17, 18, 19, 20, that's okay, right? That's okay. But being at the head of a table now, you're like, yo, guy, what's happening? What's going on? So, I mean, obviously, you're doing well for yourself. Do you have those conversations with family members? Because I've been having, like, and the funniest shit going to the social media part is that a lot of my family members quote my shit online. They were like, yo, like you said, I got to execute. I'm like, what? Who is this? And they're like, it's your cousin from this line. I haven't spoken to him in years. I'm like, yo, what's good? And we get into the conversation. But I'm just segueing into social media in terms of, like, how much, people are watching and the influence that we're having on people, right? But going back to, like, people always see the shiny things. Like, they don't understand, like, going back to what I told you, I had vertigo. I remember one time I busted my back deadlifting. I had a closing. I'm at the table like this, like shaking because I'm sweating. But you can't tell a client, I'm not going to be there. Why? Because I was doing something I wanted to do, right? You got to show up.
True,
so how do you deal with that?
Well, bro, look, on Thursday I lost my voice.
Okay.
Talking
so you
meetings
texting
all
everybody?
day. I lost my voice. I didn't know if I was going to have my voice today.
Okay. Luckily you showed
We're
up.
going to have it. We're going to have it no matter what. We got to show up no matter what.
Right.
And I think that's something very important that you mentioned, in that you can't afford to be sick. When you have your own business, I'm responsible for over 20 people, right? So when we have, let's say, a slow season, I start growing gray hairs, man.
Right.
And I get concerned initially. Mm-hmm. But then I start pivoting my mindset to, okay, now we got to work on bringing in more. We got to make sure that we take care of this. Mm-hmm. We got to make sure that everyone in this boat is okay. So you're not only responsible for yourself, you're at the head of the table. You're responsible for a lot of things. And everybody says, I want to be the boss. I want to be the man making the decisions.
Until it's time to be the boss.
Until it's time to be the boss. Because it's difficult.
Yeah.
You have to make the tough decisions. Sometimes you have to get up when you don't want to get up. Mm-hmm. Right? Like you say, if you have a normal job, which is amazing as well, you call a sick day and you say, look, I don't want to go to work today. I'm gonna chill.
Yeah, it's my birthday.
It's my birthday.
Right. I only quote that because I have certain people in my life that, they're young. They're doing that. I'm taking off. It's my birthday. I'm like, all right.
No, you got people that want so much, but they're partying every weekend.
Right.
They're going out all the time. They're celebrating things. What are they celebrating?
Right. They're celebrating every win that you're like, yo, raise your standards.
Yeah, you got to. And
raise your standards, bro. Like, that's not a win.
It's not a win. And,
Right.
and it's also something that we have to understand. That we have to sacrifice things in order to get to the goal that we want to achieve. And I think a lot of people say they want it. When it comes down to sacrificing those weekends, sacrificing time with your loved ones, sacrificing your family, people are not going to do that. So when we do that, it's important that we educate people. And we say, look, so when people ask you, like you say, you're not being an asshole. You say, what is the outcome that you expect here? How do you expect to get here? What are you willing to sacrifice to get here? So those are very important things.
My question becomes, what are you doing wrong? And automatically, people become defensive. Yo, what do you mean? I'm like, yo, bro, obviously you asking me for money. Like, you obviously fucked up. Why you fucked up? Like, let's have that conversation. Only because I'm trying to help you. And I'm not like, and then all of a sudden it becomes almost like you're being nosy. Yeah, like, but I didn't call you, bro.
or you made it and now you look.
Yeah,
at
now
you
you're acting different. I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm just talking to you. I was like, but I find that that conversation tends to happen more and more, right?
Yeah, and because people are looking at you, like you said, you have influence. People want to ask you for your advice, but when you say, hey, what is it that you really want to do, and they get defensive. People have to understand that we're going to change. We have to change.
We have to evolve.
We have to evolve to become who we want to be. So we are going to change. We didn't do all this shit to stay the same, right? We're going to change. So I think it's important, the education aspect, where you tell people, look, it's not as easy as it seems, but if you're willing to do it, you can do it.
Well, turning back on you, like when you were ambitious and you were talking, did you talk to your pops? This is what I see. This is what I think I think this is where I'm going.
I talked to my father. I said, at first I went to college and I graduated from Queens College for economics.
Okay.
So my plan was to go to Wall Street.
Okay.
That was what I wanted to do.
Charlie Sheen, Michael Douglas.
Yeah, I wanted to be the Wolf of Wall Street type of guy, right? I want to be in the Lambos.
Jordan Belfort.
That's right, Jordan Belfort. And but what my father convinced me, he was like, look, you open your business, give it a shot for a year. See how it goes. And I did. And that first year, I didn't do too bad. I felt like I had some flexibility, but I was still very new in the game, right? I didn't understand the intricacies yet. But so I decided to take the risk. I graduated, and I decided to stay with the business. And I had many, many years. The initial years, I didn't make money, man. The initial years, I was making like 40, 50 grand a year. And people saw me, and they thought I was making bank. But it wasn't. I was just managing the way that I was making the money. I had to make sure that I kept the company healthy, kept my first one or two guys that I had.
Employees, right? Employees are a thing. Human. I call it human capital. It's hard, man, because as much as they, your people are your people, but at the end of the day, they have people they answer to also, right? Like they have wives, they have kids, like, and if you're not providing a stable or perceived stable thing for them, people will drift, right? People will drift. But also going to, then you have the other side of that spectrum where people feel like what you're doing is easy, and they're going to try and then fall on their face, right? And then come back, and then you got to have that conversation, as awkward as it is.
Which is happened many times.
I'm sure, especially in your business.
Man.
Yeah.
But the good thing is now I have, the past 3 years, I've formalized the business, and I've structured it to be as compliant as possible.
Okay.
So everybody's W-2. We provide benefits for the employees. We have 401k. 2025, we're going to add medical.
Okay. So you're making a real business, like a real construction business.
Like a real solid. We have vacation. We have paid time off. Overtime.
It sounds like a recruiting video.
Listen,
hey, call me out. We'll do it at the end.
That's right. But I structured it. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I had to reinvest. So all the money that's
So you didn't take the money out and get your Lambo?
No.
Right. Well, that's just a statement I have to make because people think.
No. And 2023, New York City has very strict insurance laws for construction companies. One of my biggest clients requested one of the most expensive insurances for the year 2024. Brother, we broke even. We had to pay so much money in insurance.
Can I ask that question? Like, how much is that insurance?
The insurance costs everything, all in all.
Yeah.
With the payments of the insurance and also paying the insurance that I had to leave, $350,000.
Wow.
So I had to make the decision: was I going to close the business?
Right.
Or am I going to take this risk?
Right.
So it was a big risk that we took 2023 going into 24. But now we're seeing it pay off. And now that we're applying for public work, we have everything structured.
Right,
we have
right.
everybody's W-2. There's no, the only 1099s are subs.
Yeah, so you're vetted. You're vetted to be able to do that.
We can jump into anything because of the reinvestments, because of investing in insurance, I also invest in leadership for my team.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. So we do a lot of things that to take us to the next level. So we reinvest. That money that stays there is reinvested.
Who gets the work? Is it you? Or you're the guy who pitches?
I'm the main guy who pitches, but now we have a salesperson.
Oh, okay.
So we're leveling up little by little. So we have a salesperson now, or business development, we could say is the word, and they're focusing on reaching out to hospitality clientele.
Okay. So now let's go into the social media aspect.
Yes,
you
sir.
started doing it how long ago?
Social media, man, it's funny because I was late in the bandwagon for Instagram.
Okay.
But I jumped in right when the reels started popping up.
Okay.
So I took advantage of that, and we started posting videos. Initially, it was a lot of pictures of people in uniforms, very boring.
Right.
And then we started posting reels of before
Work you're doing.
and after, and we started jumping into social media, and I saw that it was a way that can bring me out there, right?
Yeah.
Top of mind, right?
Yeah.
Familiarity with people.
Yeah.
With the brand.
Build trust quickly.
Yeah. So we started. I started pushing that heavy. I started pushing it on every brand that every platform I could get on.
Okay.
So we had Twitter, X.
At that part, you were doing it yourself.
Everything.
Okay.
Still. Well, now we have, of course, the top dogs. The
you have the digitality behind
That's
it.
right.
Right. Powered by digitality.
Powered by digitality. So everything I did at first for many years. So we did Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Threads, X.
All the platforms.
All the platforms.
So I'll give you my experience with social media in the beginning, right? So I've been working with digitality for about, I don't know, I want to say 4 or 5 years now, right? Yeah. But before that, I was kind of on my thing, and I would tell clients, yo, follow me here, follow me, just random shit. And then the funniest thing is that you're not going to see that ROI right there, right? But I'll give you a funny story, right? So I had this client. I always remember her because and I don't know if you've ever met somebody like that. Her and her 3 sisters had the same name. Like, it was the weirdest shit ever. Yeah, because we were doing like an estate thing.
The same name.
Yeah, same name. So we had to do, AKA, so that always stood in my head. Anyway, we refinanced her house. She paid her sisters out. She kept the house. 10 years later, I get a call. Hey, it's me, Nuri, Dominican
Which
girl.
one?
No. It was one client. It was one client, but I was like, yo, who? Those my sisters. I was like, but it says it's 4 people. She goes, yeah, they're all my sisters. I'm like, holy shit. Anyway, hey, me, Nuri, Luis, ¿cómo estamos? I'm like, hey, what's up? I'm like, oh, wow. So she had another building in Brooklyn. She wanted to pull out $1 million real quick. I was like, bet. Got it done. She was in Florida. Flies in from Florida, from Miami. This is a decade later, right? The first deal I did for her was in Long Island. This is 2004. So we're in 2016, 20. Like, it's a stretch. So, after we closed and all that, of course, I'm like, yo, how do you, well, thank you, right, for thinking of me. But I was like, damn, how you remember me, right? It's been like a long time. She goes, remember you told me to follow you on LinkedIn 10 years ago? She goes, every time I see you post about lending, I'm like, yo, when I'm ready, and boom, just to go into that. Yeah, just to, like, that's the way that we're, like, people like, oh, it's more of a vanity thing. I'm like, nah, not really, because there's no way I could be every day saying, yo, I do loans. Yo, I sell real estate. Yo, like, you would get tired, right? Like you call 1,000 people to tell them that? No, but the platforms do that for you. So while you're out there pitching a job or actually managing a site, that's working for you, right? And that's the part where people don't see it. Like, they're like, oh, I don't know, this costs money. I'm like, look, I've gotten DMs from people that have had deals that didn't close. Yo, can you help me? And I'll ask a few questions. I'm like, yeah, and I've closed the deal in 3 weeks. Like, it really works.
Sound like the man I need.
No,
too.
it just go. Yo, absolutely. If you're doing a fix and flip, absolutely. That's the reason we're here. Okay. But even you, like you're doing contracting on hotels, like there could be guys that fall off. Like I think the hardest part of doing a transaction for me in like lending is stepping in the middle. It's hard because like you don't know what they did, you don't know if these numbers are right, you don't know anything. Like you have to question everything. For me, it's better to strip it down and start new. Now, what about in contracting? When you step into somebody else's site, like is that harder to do because you don't know what materials they use, like what quote they use, like you don't know what the whole vision was.
Yeah, like we don't. It's rare that I do.
That you have to step in the middle.
Job
right, you start
that
from the beginning.
somebody started because it's always very complicated. We've dealt with that before. So we had a client that reached out to us, I think a month ago. She was like, "Oh, we need you guys to step in," and the other team was there in the site doing the work, but she wanted us to repair what they had done.
Oh damn!
So out of favor, we sent one of our guys, the estimators, to take a look. But we charged her a hefty fee because we know what it takes. She was complaining over things that weren't really that bad, so we knew what was gonna be. It was gonna be a headache.
Right.
So going in and working, we find that very difficult to do, and we rarely do it.
Okay.
So you doing that? I mean, it's a big help, man.
Yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard.
It's hard because you're dealing with other notions too. Right?
But you don't even know what they did. So you got to strip it apart. Be like, yo, what is this? I'm just using terms that you might use. Like, did they use the proper foundation? Did they use the right grouting? Are they using the right plywood or the right thickness of sheetrock? Right? Like, there's so many specifications that have to be
scientific.
Yeah, like I mean, like who's I talking to? I have a client. I'm not on the deal, but he hits me up. And he's like, yo, they're asking me about ADA compliance. Like, he wants to rent this piece of property. What is ADA? So I'm like, all right, send me the chain of emails, bro, please. Because I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So he sends me the chain. Yeah. American Disabilities Act. Yeah. So he sends me the chain of emails. I was like, all right, so you see in this email where you said you're going to make it ADA compliant? That's what they're asking about. And he's like, what is that? I was like, who wrote that email for you? And he's like, oh, my son. I was like, all right, so this is what that means. So now I'm coaching him. I'm like, all right, so I'm writing this email, copy and paste it, and respond this way. But going back to like what I see now is that so many people using terms they don't even fucking know. Yeah, they're just saying shit to say shit, right? Like, yeah, I'm doing this. I'm like, fuck you talking about? Who said it? I think Mark Cuban said the other day, if you're using the word cohort, you should get punched in the face. But there's these terms that people. I'm like, why are you trying to make it sound more complicated than it really is, right? Like if you're looking for a certain amount of people, I had to take my continuing education the other day for real estate, and the last topic was cultural. It was cultural something like cultural bias and unbiased. Like basically, it's racism in the new world, and it's a new frame of racism. Like I'm like. This is just being racist. Why do we reframe this? But it's unfortunately that's the truth now. People like they're so sensitive to certain words.
Of course,
they're rebranding them. I'm like, but
cultural bias.
Yeah,
that's right.
Racism. That's right. Am I bugging? Like, did the world change?
The world changed completely, bro. Very sensitive nowadays, man. That's for sure.
So like I'm thinking to myself, I'm like reading this, I'm like, this is like ridiculous. And full disclosure, I don't read the like continuing education is like 30 hours. Yeah. I just press next, I take the test and I pass. Like I'm like, this is like this is cultural competence. That was the word. Are you culturally competent? I'm like, are you sensitive to other people's, beliefs? And absolutely. Like but it's such a thing that we have to have continuing education on that. Yeah. You would think we're so much farther ahead now. But honestly, I don't feel like we are. I feel like we're just like, we're taking the same ingredients and we're just labeling something new. Yeah. Right? And all of a sudden it becomes a thing. Like
labels for everything now.
Right. So how about in terms of construction? Now you're Latino. Yeah. Have you ever felt like odds were kind of stacked against you when you were going in for a pitch? Have you ever felt that?
Sometimes, yeah. A lot of people that we pitch to, they're European. Right?
Okay.
A lot of Europeans, and they kind of tend to help their own. Mm-hmm. And we've run into that. Okay. But also the good thing is since we have a brand, we feel that we have a strong brand that has created that familiarity. We have that advantage as well. What kind of people see the brand Rios and they say, I know about you guys. I've seen you guys. I've seen your trucks. We're willing to give you a try. But yes, before that, running into buildings where, let's say we had certain supers that they only wanted their people in there. They didn't want anybody else. They didn't want anybody meddling with work. And if they did, they would give us a hard time. They would give us a hard time. They wouldn't want us to leave 2 minutes later. They would fucking complain.
They would make it hard to work.
They make it hard to work. So we have run into that. But I feel that now also things are shifting in that the brand has become now
Stronger. Right.
And they associate the brand. They see me, and it's changing also.
Okay.
And we also seeing that some positions of power have changed.
Okay.
So now we got a few Latinos in there too that are
All right.
that are making their moves. So that is also
that's a good thing.
that's a good thing.
It's a good and a bad thing because, like I was talking to my other friend the other day. I have a lot of conversations, bro. So I'm like, yo, it should be the fucking most qualified person, not Spanish, black, white. It should be. So all right, you're Latino, dope. I'll give you a second look, but don't fuck it up. Like I was talking to I have a client. They're representing like this UN dude, like United Nations guy, and he's like, I gave it to one of my people. And of course, my people make me look bad. And I'm like, yo, that's how it be sometimes. like you gotta make sure they're serious. You gotta make sure they're serious. I posted not too long about referrals, right? Like referrals are like a double-edged sword. And what I mean by that is that if you recommend somebody to me, so I gotta treat them. This is me, my personal take. I'm looking at my personal take. You can do what the fuck you want. If you're saying, yo, O's a good guy, then I have to be the best guy because at the end of the day, it's a reflection on you, right? It becomes that. So not only do I have to be competitive in terms of price and stuff like that, but my execution, my service has to be top notch. Yep. I think sometimes people get it twisted where they're like, oh, he referred it to me, so it's given. And that almost becomes the whole entitlement thing that we're seeing, where we see a lot, oh, but he knows you, you should give me the deal. I'm like, you give me the deal if you think I'm the best qualified. Yeah. And I can't worry about shit like, oh, his brother's the loan officer. So go to your brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Or his mom's a realtor.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Like, what am I supposed to do? But Omar, I want you to pitch him in. No, you can't beef that. Unless there's a beef. Yeah. But you can't worry about that. So what happens is so many people are worried about things they can't control. But the one thing they can control about being the best so a lead to me, like I talk to my guys all the time. They're like, oh, he wasn't ready. I'm like, a lead is simply an opportunity to discuss it. If the necessity is there and your salesmanship is there, that's when you convert, right? So there has to be a need. You can't just fabricate it. Not in my world anyway. But you have to make a client feel comfortable. And of course, you're fighting other things. Like you have other guys that they'll make shit up. Like, oh, I can do it for free, and it's not. And it just like they come in. Like, I'll use your term, your industry. They'll come in and underbid, and then they'll do what they call the add-on.
Yeah, the change
oh,
orders,
you want a good sheetrock? Hold on, that costs more. Oh, you wanted this finish, and then all of a sudden, that number is exactly where it should have been from the beginning, but they wanted to get in. And so
famous change orders, man.
Change orders? All right, that's what it's called. So for us, it's called bait and switch. So, they'd be like, yo, here it is. And they'll be like, oh, no, I moved it. That'll get you the one deal. Yeah, but that client's going to be upset, and they're going to hold it against you later. And in so a lot of guys be like, oh, I've been doing this a long time. Oh, and how come my phone ain't ringing? I was like, well, what have you been doing for a long time?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, I was like, yo, what have you been doing for a long time that your shit ain't ringing? That becomes the question. Like, are you doing good business? Are you being straight? Are you giving the service? Are you I break it down for them, and they're like, oh, but I get, I feel where I'm from, I know that things take time. I think after 1996, the people born after that, they lost sight of that shit. They were like, nah, I did it for 2 weeks. I did curls 2 weeks. My arms be 24 inches. Like, nah, my man, it doesn't work that way. Right. So that's a part where we're almost trying to I don't want to say deprogram. I'm just trying to say you get lucky sometimes and you can go faster. Yeah. But anything worth building is gonna take some time. Oh, but people, I find, and you can contra me if you feel different. It's like me going and say, yo, I'm gonna go MMA. I'm gonna go jiu-jitsu tomorrow, bro. I don't know how to why should I think I'm gonna be great at it? Yeah. Because I'll tell you why. No. I'll tell you why. Oh, I weigh 240. fuck does it have to do with anything?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's leverage, it's technique, it's breathing. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of it, right? But that's because I have other disciplines and I know it takes effort, right? Yes. Other people see it, they're like, oh, I'll step right into that shit. And then, get their ass waxed.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I walked in, I thought I was a tough guy.
It's the first time on the mat, right?
First time on the mat, I was like, man, I've done
they got
Muay Thai.
They got you this little guy?
Nah. You know what the thing was? I went in there and it was in the class, they put me to roll the first day.
Rolling is when you grapple.
Rolling is when you're going live. Like, you're not drilling. You drill for...
Well, explain to people who have never done it before.
So when you go to jiu-jitsu, it depends. Different schools, different teachings. But my school, we go in and we drill a technique, let's say an hour. And then we have 30 minutes of sparring or live rounds where we're going in. And
that's called rolling?
That's rolling, yes. So the first time I walked in there, I went with my chest all the way...
You're ready.
I was like, I'm ready.
You did some push-ups? You say, yo.
Did some push-ups. I was like, listen, I've done martial arts.
I don't want to hurt you.
Yeah. I see the black belt. I was like, listen, man, I'm going to take it easy. And I start rolling with a black belt.
Right.
The guy was bigger than me, not much bigger. But he gets on top of me. He's like, just get me off of you. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't, man.
Yeah. You're trying to push him off. Yeah.
I'm pushing him off. I'm going 100%. And this guy ain't even breathing on. He's just on top of me.
Right.
And that day I left humble, to say the least.
You understood this ain't the same.
I said, I can't walk down the street thinking I'm a tough guy and I can't get this dude off of me. I was like, I have to go back. And I still get my ass whooped every day.
Well, that's the goal. The goal is so you get better.
That's why it's a beautiful art, because it humbles you and it reminds you, listen, you could be good today and tomorrow you could be down. Yeah. And I have good days and then I have days that I get my ass.
Sometimes you feel like a champ, sometimes you feel like a chump.
So, which is how life is, right? Yeah. So it translates very well. But
I was having a conversation with somebody else last night, and we're talking about an event that happened where somebody got into a fight, and they were explaining it to me, and I was like, my first question was, where was this? And they told me, I was like, it was a hard part of the Bronx. I was like, nah, right there. Right there wouldn't happen. I was like, yo, go ahead. Like it was a beef about getting into the lane, driving. I was like, yo, man, go ahead, brother. Go ahead, do your thing. Like I have no rush. We're good. I mean, and they're like, why? I was like, well, because I'm very self-aware. Like I drive a certain type of car. First of all, you won't catch me in that part of the hood if I don't have to be there. Because
you don't have to
I don't want to be there. I got no business there. There's no reason for me to be there. And then it goes back to that first. I was like, yo, he had to be there. I get it, but know where you at, bro. Yeah. And then if you're rolling with your wife, if you're rolling with five guys in the car, all right. You gotta be aware of all of a sudden, you're a commander, you're an army guy, but you gotta be, and you see a car full of dudes, like, no, gotta roll, bro, roll. Do your thing.
And in New York, it's notorious. We fight over parking spots. We find a spot, 30 minutes looking for a spot, a dude takes it. Yeah. But we can't be doing that anymore. We gotta say, all right, man, breathe, keep it moving, man.
Go ahead, man. Good luck.
Think about the deals we're gonna do the next day.
But the big thing, it becomes, so you got to be fearful. Somebody has nothing to lose, right? 100%. And I tell people that all the time. Like, who I was at 19 is not who I am now, right? But we could talk about that because we built something. Yeah. It's until you start building, like people are like, oh, you used to. I was like, yeah, I didn't have nothing to lose, man. I don't know.
Yeah, when you have nothing to lose, you can spend a weekend in jail.
I got wife, kids. I got some assets. I was like, I don't want to lose that, man. Like, I get into a fight, I get sued. It's no longer.
And in New York, you get into a fight, you lose. You win the fight, you lose. You're going down for assault,
you always lose. But it becomes a thing of self-awareness. Like, I was watching Fat Joe's interview with Shannon Sharp, right? And he was like, yo, I had to work with my crew. And I've had those conversations, and what happens, unfortunately, I come from 196 Jerome, like a rough neighborhood. So your friends ain't all gonna make it with you, and it's not because you're better than them. Yeah. It's because they're not trying to evolve. Like you're like, hey man, we don't want to do that right now. Like,
they want to stay in the same.
Yeah. Like you don't got to be drunk every night. Like you're gonna get divorced. You know that, right? Oh, why she beefing? I'm like, well, you're 50, bro, and you're hanging out on Saturday nights like you're 20. I was like.
Of course.
What kind of example are you? But they're not trying to hear that, and then they're divorced and living in an empty house or living in your man's house because whatever. Like they don't want to hear the lessons, right? So when somebody comes to you advice and they don't take the advice, what do you do?
Look, I had a conversation with a friend of mine not too long ago, saying that he's living in New York, he's not making enough, that he has to move. But I tell them, you have to look at what it is you're doing. What are your habits? What are your spending habits? Right? What are the subscriptions you paying for? What is it that you buy on the weekends? We can do a lot of things with what we make, right?
Right.
You can make 100 grand, you can make 300 grand, but if the person that's making 300 spends
400,
they're not doing anything, right? So I always tell them, evaluate what you're doing. Write your goals. Create a path as to where you want to go. And I give them that as my best advice. I say, it's worked for me. This is my advice. Write your goals down. You want to save up 1,000, 2,000 in 3 months? Write it down. Where do you want to be in a year? Write it down. Give yourself a path where you can see.
A vision, right?
A vision where you can start walking towards. Because when you don't, you drift, as you say. You start drifting in life.
Yeah, you have no direction. You're just drifting around.
You're not progressing. And like Tony Robbins said, happiness is progress. And I believe in that. As we progress, doesn't mean that we have to have a nice car every year, a new car every year, but progressing with our goals. We set our goals, and we reach some. We didn't reach the others. We move that to another time, and we continue working towards something better. And that is something that I give advice for. Some listen, some don't. But
do you do a lot of self-development?
I do, brother. I mean, that was also a big changing factor for me. I like to read a lot. I started listening to audiobooks as well when I was in my 20s. I like Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins,
Love Jim Rohn, yeah.
Les Brown. I used to listen to Les Brown a lot. And a whole bunch of people that I'm not remembering now.
But what got you into like there has to be a thing that kind of like you like not everybody talks about that, right? So I believe I kind of drifted into that because my family, I could talk about it now that most of them have passed. They were all like, "Nah, you're not gonna be shit." So like I became the anti, right? I was like, it wasn't like to prove them wrong, but I was like, "Yo, I don't believe you. Let me go explore, right? Let me go, like, this ain't it. Let me go figure it out, right?" So I went out.
That was the chip that you needed.
Yeah, I went out into the wilderness, and I came back a different person. So what did you? How did you find like those things? Like, what was it that you feel that pushed you into that?
I was getting into a lot of trouble when I was young.
Okay.
My early 20s, and I got into a situation where, man, I had to evaluate my life.
Okay, so you got into a serious problem.
Serious problem.
Okay.
So right then, I was kind of always aware of what I wanted to be in my life. And I knew that I didn't want to be that.
Okay.
So that was important for me. That was step number one. I said, I don't want to be that person.
Yeah.
So now I know who I don't want to be. Now I got to work towards who I want to be.
Okay.
So I started picking up those books. Tony Robbins was big for me at first. I remember I read his book, which was a friggin' Bible.
Awaken the Giant Within, one of those.
I think Awaken the Giant
or
Within.
Unleash the Power.
Unleash the Power.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Yeah.
I read that one. I read books from Jim Rohn. I also...
you read Napoleon Hill?
Napoleon Hill, Get Rich.
Think Grow Rich. Yeah, that changed my life.
I have it in my nightstand now because I said I'm going to read it again.
Yeah.
Think and Grow Rich. So reading all of that, bringing all that positivity, right? That we are the sole person that is responsible for our life.
Accountability.
Absolutely,
right? Yeah.
Which I know is a word you like, right?
Absolutely.
Accountability.
Absolutely.
So looking at myself in the mirror saying that I'm responsible for my life. Nobody else.
Good or bad.
Good or bad.
Right.
I can't blame the world. I can't blame my situation on anybody else. And that was important for me. Just knowing that I am the creator of my life.
And you had a aha moment with yourself, or did you see something in yourself at one point and you're like, yo, like, nah. Like because there's times I'm talking to myself, and I talk to myself a lot.
Me too,
and I'm like, yo, I was like, that's the bitchiest thing I ever heard you say to yourself. Like, yo, what's wrong with you?
You're aware.
Yeah, only when you talk it out, right? When you talk it out, or when I talk to my wife sometimes, sometimes you have to say it out loud to really hear it. Like, you think it is one thing, and you can kind of make it legitimize it, right? Yeah. You say it out loud, you're like, oh shit, that don't make no sense. That don't make no sense. I got to figure that out. I got to fix that. But a lot of people don't, they'd rather not because it's
scary.
It's a hard look.
It's scary too.
It's a hard look. Yeah.
You kind of asking yourself the tough questions, like, why is it that you haven't changed? Why haven't you progressed? And also meditation has been it helped me during the toughest times of my life because I went within and kind of asked myself, what is going on? What's wrong here? What can we change? Who do I want to be? Who do I want to stop being? And I'm a human being, right? I react, right? We get in a car, somebody cuts us off in traffic. We get pissed off. But I understand that those reactions have to be less and less each time.
Right,
I get pissed off, I'm pissed off. All right, it's not going to ruin my day.
Right.
We allow things in our external environment to dictate who we become. And that is the biggest mistake that we do. We have to be internal, where somebody says something we don't like, somebody does something we don't like. Yeah, we're going to react. We're human beings. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to change. Or I'm going to become a better person. And I realized that I had control over that, controlling what I can control, which is my mind. I can't control what you're going to say, what my employee's going to say, what my family member's going to say, right? I can't control that. And as difficult as that is, I had to become aware that, okay, this person makes me feel this way. Let me adjust the way that I'm seeing this person. So doing all those things, working on myself day by day, and then there's some days I go back to that.
You slide back a little bit.
I slide back a little bit, and I get pissed off. I say things I don't want to say.
Yeah, to add to that, I've heard that you want to think and respond, not react, right? But the one thing I can say on my side lately, especially this year, I lost my mom this year. I've gone through some heavy ones where it really kind of like put you in to really think. And I'm like, yo, sometimes things aren't worth it. And what I mean by that is I've actually cut people out of my life, even if from the outside and be like, nah, you being impetuous, or you're being like, the money, the bag. I was like, but sometimes the money ain't worth the headache. And I said, I posted this yesterday about the shit can't outweigh the cat, right? So if that person's garbage is bigger than the person, and this is my advice to you, just give it to the person. And I'm not saying like kill them. I'm just saying, limit your exposure, because it's not good for you. And what I had to realize is that there's relationships in your life, and it could be close. It could be family, mom, dad. It could be that tight, that are corrosive. And I use the word on purpose. Corrosive means it's like eating you away. It's eating away at you. It's eroding you, right? You have to be aware of that, and you have to make the hard decisions sometimes. Like, nah, this ain't working. This ain't. And, it don't got to be like, hey, this is not working, go fuck yourself. It'll be like, yo, man, all right, yeah. And then just divert your attention and just limit your exposure and just make yourself busy with productive things. Yeah. Because what happens is, being around corrosive people, that's my word today, corrosive, you don't understand, like, you ever been in a relationship or a friendship with a family member or whatever, and then, like, you come out in a bad mood? Yeah. Or, like, you look at life and you're like, fuck, and you're, like, bitter, and you're like, yo, but that's not you. Exactly. That's just, or they're, like, super, what's the word, anxious, and you become anxious, like, yo, like, it energy transmits. Energy transmits. Does. Yeah, and that's one thing I want to talk to you about, only because I want people to understand that. Like, you're pretty, you give up the Zen like vibe, right? But people have to understand it's a practice. You don't wake up chill. I don't anyway. I wake up and I'm like, all right, let me stretch. I work out really hard, because I try to get rid of that extra energy. Yeah, because then you want to focus up and then be like, all right, calm. And of course, the energy starts building again, and you got to find ways to diffuse it. It's a practice. Like you do jujitsu. It's a practice. I do bodybuilding. I do basketball. It's a practice. It's a way to release male aggression. Like, I believe men need sport, and what I mean by that is not just like basketball, football, and you need to compete. Why? Because you need to feel that. Like, you need that to kind of measure yourself. Good or bad, right? But as long as you don't let it like destroy you if you lose a game or lose a match. Yes. But you have to be able to look at yourself and be like, all right, man, what can I do better? As long as you're building on yourself. But I believe we need that to stay sharp. Yes. I think going back to drifting, like if you don't have certain things in your life, components in your life to keep you on point, when the time comes that the call is made, you're not ready. You're just not ready, right? I agree. Yeah, I was talking about like one guy was like, oh, like I want to lose my stomach. I was like, stop eating so much shit. Oh, fuck you. I have a stressful life. All right, here we go.
Now we talk.
I know. Now we're going. All right. Oh, it's stressful, bro. Like, and then we go into it, and I'm like,
What are your habits when you're stressed?
No, I'm like, yo, bro, listen, I'm a stress eater. When my mom got sick a year ago, I gained like 20 pounds. Like, cause that was, and I was like, damn, what's happening? And then I had to figure it out, and I had to modify, right? Yeah. But somebody will give you their problem and the reason they have their problem. I'm like, yo, you'll look for the solution, or just shut the fuck up and be happy being fat. That's just,
because
it's that simple.
We justify everything, right? We
Correct.
rationalize
Correct.
all our downfalls in life,
Correct.
or where we at now.
Yeah.
So we're here because of this person, or because of the shit that happened to me 10 years ago. Yeah, you're still here, right? People betray you. People do bad things.
And you hold on to that.
And that's who you become, right?
Right.
It becomes your personal reality, your personality, right?
Right.
You become the person that people forced on you. No, we have to be proactive in that. When I wake up in the morning, I don't look at my phone.
Okay.
I keep the phone away from me at least for 30 minutes, where I could kind of let my mind calibrate.
Okay.
Because if I've done that, where I wake up, I'm looking at emails. I guess an email I don't like,
you get in a bad
text I don't
mood.
like.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, I started my day like that.
Yeah.
So I do that. I do some stretching in the morning. I wait for about 40 minutes. I relax, and then I get to it. I start looking at the computer, looking at my text, start working on everything. And I wake up at 5 in the morning.
Right.
So I'm out early. So I give myself that time.
Your personal time.
Just for me. And when I can meditate at least for 10, 20 minutes, I do it. And I remind myself of who I want to be today when I can.
Okay.
So that kind of helps me compose. I don't do it all the time. And when I don't, I kind of feel that disconnect with myself.
You feel it missing.
So and it's important.
Yeah, that was a great line. You said your personality is your personal reality.
Yeah, I copied that from you ever heard of Joe Dispenza?
Yes.
Man, that dude's amazing. That's another guy that I read his book, and it's life-changing as well.
Okay, Joe Dispenza. Your personality is the personal reality. That's a big one. I never heard that before. That's a real good one.
An amazing dude that I listened to, and I read his book. It's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. It's amazing, man, because he says that we wake up reliving the past each and every day. We wake up from the same side of the bed. We wake up with the same thoughts we had yesterday. We fill the same pot of coffee we did yesterday. Use the bathroom the same way. Go out in traffic, think the same way, react the same way. He's like, how are you supposed to change if you're always the same person? And that shit struggled me hard. I was like, man, that's
that's
true.
Serious. That says you have to send me that book link, man. I'm gonna have to get that one. Yeah.
He's a man that believes that we are the creators of our lives as well.
Absolutely.
So he merges spirituality with science, which is great, man.
I think it was the New Thought era is what most of these guys came from, right? Charles Hannell, I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Charles Hannell.
That he's the OG, the master key system. I'm just saying it so people can look it up.
I've heard of that. Okay.
All these guys come from there. All these guys. And the master key system is a book that you're supposed to read the same chapter every day for a week. To really get into your subconscious. Like it goes deep. It goes deep. My wife and I started reading that, I want to say, about 8 years ago. And that really changed a lot for us because
I'm gonna get it's a book. It's a book.
The master key system. And then basically it helps you develop your own mental discipline. And I think Jim Rohn speaks to me really well, I think, because he frames it in a way I can relate, right? And so and Tony Robbins also, for some people, because Tony Robbins and I love him, but he believes in shocking people to see, right? To see what he's trying to show them. Right. So it throws people off. Like, to me, I'm like, all right, my wife doesn't like it too much, but it speaks to different people. She her person is Christian Larson. That's her guy. He talks about the mindset and how you're able to control your thoughts and how the superior person can, it goes into that. And I use those words on purpose because we all have the ability to be a better version of ourselves. And this, we can do another episode about this, but I believe a lot of it comes back into financial scarcity because like when my mom first came over from, Puerto Rico, like if there was not enough money to eat, that has your mind occupied, right? You're in survival mode, right? You're in survival mode. So we want to try to kick the gear, however hard it is, from survival to thrive, right? You want to survive, you want to thrive, you want to start thriving. The way you start thriving, you start thinking bigger. You can only think bigger when you achieve some sort of accomplishment, whatever it is, whether it's getting your college degree, because now everybody looks at, oh, you have a college degree. Like, I don't know if people understand that, but like getting validation from others is actually a big deal. Especially, I'm spending a lot of time with my nephews lately, and they're little kids, like 4, 11, and I'm like, hey guys, you can't do that. And but they're looking, hey Theo, is this? And I see it's very clear to me, like they're looking for validation because they want to feel, they want to feel good, right? So I think people in general, going back into social media, going back to all that, everybody wants to feel validated, but the issue becomes you can't be validated if you haven't done anything.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
So I mean, I think that's the last topic I want to cover today is like, how do you tell people, listen, this is what I started. You started what, 10 years ago?
15.
15 years ago.
The business.
Right, 15 years ago, right? And you're where you are now.
God damn, 15 years.
Right. I'm in the game 20. I'm in the game 20. I started in 04. I went through the meltdown 08. Like I'm still here. I still go. I still go. And they're like, yo, how's it you stay busy? I'm like, because I've been giving good service for 20 years, bro. It's very simple. Good service, like, and every person is not $1. So like every deal, maybe it's not the best deal for you. Like even if like, you know, if the guy can get a better deal up the block, let him know. I know you're not making $1 today, but people remember shit like that. Man. Yeah, people remember. Right. Well, you got to think of it as an investment, not a loss. But it goes back to reframing minds. Like everybody's always looking for that. Oh, how much? I'm like, yo, bro, like this part of the deal is not about the money. This part of the deal is establishing a relationship. If you establish a relationship, the money will come because people want to do business with people they like, they trust, right? I'm sure you have people call you from like I gave you the story about Nuri 10 years ago. Then she wanted to buy something in Miami. Then and I get the call. Then she wanted to sell her shit in Brooklyn. Then I get the call. And this is all long distance. But 10 years ago, I treated her like a human being. Yeah. I treated her well. And, you know, I may have planted something in her head. Hey, man, you should watch me here. Like, if you need me, call me here. Just kind of a way to stay in touch. Because I wasn't going to call every day.
You remind me of, I think it's a quote from Maya Angelou that people don't remember what you said, but how you made them feel.
Right.
Remember that, right?
Right.
So it's I think that's key. I do the same thing. I have clients, they call me from 10 years ago. We don't do small projects anymore, but they call us. Can you do this? Yeah, go. Sometimes I don't even charge them. I had a client that we did a full remodel for a year and a half ago. She called me and said her tiles broke. Some of her balcony ceiling was chipping. That if we can fix it for her. I said, my guys, no charge. Because it's all about the relationship as well for me. So I believe in the little drop hitting the rock, right?
Right.
It's better than that rock.
Change the rock.
I believe in that. So when I have new clients, I also offer them, I say, look, we could do a sample for you. If you like the work, then we could talk business. And then we go from there. Or I go in and I give them a price so that they could say yes to the project and we get a foot in the door. We create a relationship. They see how we work. And then we start talking big numbers.
Right, and start talking big projects, right?
It was never, of course, we want to make a
living,
profit, but it's never about just one and done.
Right.
I don't go in there and say, look, it's going to be $1 million, and then I never deal with you
again.
Yet.
Right,
no,
right.
We'll do the best price that we can work with, and we'll work together, and let's look at the future together as well.
It's about established relationships, man. So if people want to speak to you about interior designs or remodeling, but they have to be big. They have to be big projects. You know what I'm saying? Speak to the camera, please. Let them know where to get you. Guys,
you can find us on Instagram at Rios Interiors Corp. We're on TikTok, LinkedIn. I'm Jonathan Rios. You can find me on LinkedIn. We have our website at www.riosinteriorscorp.com. And we're here to renovate your life if need be.
Renovate your life. If you want to do MMA with him, where do he get you?
They want to do jiu-jitsu, man. I mean, listen, you probably beat me up. So you're more than welcome. We're in the story.
The Story Queens. All right, man. Another episode of Real Omar in the books. Talk to you soon. You know where to get me. Ask Louis Omar everywhere.